Hello and welcome to iBuzz. I'm your host Nosheen Bukhari with yet another exciting episode of entertainment and showbiz world. In today's episode, we will choose a very special George Clooney movie since it is his birthday month. A 2001's crime comedy Ocean's 11 is a story that revolves around Danny Ocean, a gangster who assembles a group of 11 people in an effort to steal money from 3 popular casinos in Las Vegas owned by his rival, Terry Benedict. To review this, we have film critic Jessica Fenton with us. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So as a birthday tribute to George Clooney, we have chosen this movie, which is a remake of 1960s movie with the same name. Such a star-studded movie it was, which was highly paid, and it involved the most famous actors in it. Were you excited when you watched this movie because of the cast?
Of course. Who wouldn't be? I mean, there was not only was the remake of such an incredible film so exciting to watch, but this cast is unrivaled up until then. I mean, I go so far as to say it surpassed the original Rat Pack cast.
Right. And let's talk about George Clooney's character. I mean, he had been the boss, but the kind of boss who keeps his cool, but manages to infuriate anyone. So how did you see his character in this movie?
In a word, cool. Like, he is the epitome of cool. He stays very calm throughout the whole film, yet he has the most to lose and the most to gain. And he just suave and sophisticated, and he's the key that holds it all together. And and you want to watch him, you want to see him succeed. There's something bubbling underneath the surface, that you're not privy to everything that's going on, and in the end you get such an amazing payoff.
Do you think that the viewers, before watching other spin-offs of this movie, they need to watch Ocean's 11 because there is a connection between Ocean's 11 and other movies of the same category?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very coherent series, even with the spin-off Ocean's 8. Not so much, but it is more fun if you understand the references made throughout. But yeah, each film continues on from the previous one. So you absolutely, and well, I mean,
right.
Sequels are sort of inferior films, so you can't. Ocean's 11 is the best one of the series, so yeah, you always want to go straight to the top.
Right, and there were other parts as well. We did see Ocean's 12 coming, and then there was Ocean's 13. Did you find these sequels as interesting as it was in Ocean's 11?
Look, one of the great things about this entire series and its cast is that they have so much fun making the films, and that comes across on screen. I mean, these guys all became BFFs off screen as well, particularly George, Brad Pitt, and Matt Damon, and even Steven Soderbergh. They had this incredible working chemistry and history together, and so that's why they were able to bring back all these huge stars time and time again.
So, Jessica, considering 11 people, 11 fine actors in the squad, do you think that there was a track of characters and it wasn't lost throughout the movie?
Yeah, absolutely. It's when you have these ensemble films, it's one of the things that is hard to do is to maintain a coherent story for all the characters. I mean, it's more than 11. It's just the core group that are 11. But then you have Andy Garcia's character, and you have Julia Roberts' character. And I think Steven Soderbergh and all the guys that came together and collaborated so well in this film do manage to piece together all of these characters and their stories very coherently and beautifully. And more than anything, this film is a comedy and it's a caper, and every person plays their role. It is an ensemble film, and they do it so well, and it's why the film was so successful, not just once but 3 times.
Right, and to some critics, it was just the faces that got sold. They didn't buy the story. They thought that it wasn't something that was too fascinating to be sold. It was just the faces that were used to, present the movie. Do you agree with this?
No, critics, what do they know? At the end of the day, it's regular people that are paying their hard-earned money to buy a theatre ticket. And if it's these faces that get them through the door and get them in their seats, then why not? Why wouldn't you use that? And I think the critics ended up eating their words a little bit. This group came together. Like I said, they had so much fun making the film. They shine on screen together as that incredible ensemble. They sold tickets. They made an incredible franchise out of it. They put the bums on seats, and they made a great film. It is a crime caper. It is, and it's a comedy, and they did it fantastically.
Right. And Jessica, what are your thoughts on the plot and story? Of course, it's a remake of the 1960s movie, but it was an upgraded version, you can say. So what are your thoughts on the plot, the story? How did you find it?
I mean, it gets you hook, line, and sinker. Like I said before, there's all these little elements just playing underneath the surface. You're never quite privy to everything, and that's part of it. There is a twist ending and you know, in the end, and it led to the sequels as well. But yeah, I think it's enrapturing, and it gets you, and it gets you every single step of the way. You are on board with these guys. You want to know what's happening. You want to know the tricks of the trade. You want to kind of learn a good con along the way. It's so much fun.
Right, and it has also become a benchmark for heist movies, like the movies that we see now, even the seasons, you know, being created on this topic, heist. So this was the movie that actually, you know, set the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie was a huge success at the box office worldwide, and you know, being able to entice this caliber and this cast, as you said before, it showed people that it was possible with the budget, you know, even with a small or moderate budget, with a great idea, you can attract top-notch people, and you can make a great story.
Right. And Jessica, let us talk about your from most favorite character to most least favorite characters, and then why.
Oh my goodness, there's so many to go through.
Right. A difficult question, right?
It is. I mean, it's an ensemble film. You can't really pay for. Okay, you can pay favorites, but you can't really play like least favorites. Everyone plays their role. I guess it's like picking a favorite child. I guess if I had to just, I'll give you my top, and it's going to be Brad Pitt's character. I don't know why. I think it's just because he's a very under the radar character throughout the whole film, and he has this affectation, and you'll notice it more now that I've pointed out to you guys. But in every single scene he's in, he's eating something. Right. And I think that's just so funny. And behind the scenes, Brad Pitt said that because of his character, because they're all career criminals, his character was someone who never knew when he was going to get busted, and so he kind of took every opportunity he could to eat something because he never knew he was going to get arrested.
Yeah. That involved a lot of stress eating, which he did admit. Right. Okay, and Jessica, tell us about your thoughts on this movie, the cast of this movie, which, you know, misses gender balance in a huge amount. I mean, in the entire team of 11 people, there's just one woman. So now, in these days, when you watch this movie, do you think that it can be criticized for this reason?
No, that's the plot of the story. You know, it is supposed to be 11 guys, and there's that one central woman played by Julia Roberts, and that's kind of turns out to be the focus of George Clooney's Danny Ocean character. And I mean, if you want to go so far as to criticize it for that, I mean, I don't think it's in the spirit of the film, but you know, fast forward 15 years or so, and the girls got theirs back when the Ocean's 8 spin-off came out. So, you know, they got theirs in the end.
Right. Tell us the 3 major reasons why would you recommend viewers to watch this movie, especially as a present to George Clooney on his birthday.
I mean, George Clooney is a gift unto himself.
Right.
All right, 3 reasons why to watch this film. Okay, it's funny. It's you get to watch a lot of really good-looking men having a good time.
Okay.
Let's face it. And you know what? It can give you some ideas. Next time you want to rob 1 or 3 Las Vegas casinos, I mean, it's a good place to start.
Right. And do you expect another sequel? And if there is another sequel, what are your expectations from this one?
One can only hope. As a huge fan of the franchise, you know, I live in hope that there will be a 4th. I don't know, these guys are getting on a little bit, but in all and yeah, in a
I mean, do you want to see the same cast? Because they have aged a lot. It's been like, you know, more than 20 years now. So do you think that it's going, like, do you think it's going to still make it if the same cast is in the sequel, the 4th sequel, or do you expect some changes?
I hope no. I think this cast was perfection. So I can only hope that they would keep the same guys. Plus, unfortunately, men only get better looking with age. So that's not an issue 20 years on. It's just time and preference.
But the real question is that what are they going to add into the story this time? If it's still a heist, how different are they going to make it look like?
Well, 20 years on, I mean, the natural progression would be if these guys if these characters in the film had children themselves, they could be, you know, around the 18, 19, 20 year mark, and maybe they, you know, want to take after their fathers, or maybe even accept them. So there's always that passing of the torch element that you could play in a sequel.
Right, right. And talking about the remakes of the movies, I mean, of course, this was a masterpiece back in the 1960s. I don't know if you have watched that version or not. But do you think that remakes do justice with the already made movies just like this one?
Remakes are hit and miss. Unfortunately, they're more miss than hit, but Ocean's 11 is one of those rare cases where I think it's better than the original. Yeah. That could be a generational thing. I'm sorry, guys. Everyone has their preferences. It's like hearing a cover song for the first time. You know, people tend to go towards whatever they heard first, whether it was the original or the cover, or in this case, the remake or the original. Yeah, I grew up with the remake, and so I'm sorry to Dean and Frank and Sammy Jr. I'm going to have to go with the new lot for my personal favorite.
Right, right. And Jessica, the best part about the entire movie, what do you think? I mean, is it the simplicity of the story? Is it the fun side? Is it the criminal side? Which side do you see the best, which was you know, portrayed in the entire movie?
Oh, well, I don't think the story is simple at all. And the further you go along in it, the more you realize how unbelievably complicated it is. I think it's camaraderie on screen that comes across so well. Like I said, these guys all became best friends on screen and off screen, and it really shines.
Right. And since it's Clooney's birthday, exclusively keeping this movie in your mind, do you have any special message for him?
Oh, well, first of all, happy birthday, Mr. Clooney. And yeah, give fans of Ocean's 11 a 4th sequel, please. Please.
Right. Jessica, thank you very much indeed for your time and discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Jessica Fenton sharing her thoughts on Ocean's 11. We'll take a quick short break right here. Don't go anyway. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Welcome back. In this segment, we will be discussing the changing styles of the comedy. Although stand-up comedy was affected badly due to COVID restrictions, some comedians came up with better solutions to keep the show running. Comedian Akbar Chaudry, who is known for his spontaneous wit, is one of those. And to highlight this further, we have Akbar Chaudry himself with us today. Akbar, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nausheen. It's great to join you.
So tell us about what's the business of being funny. I mean, do you think it's a very hard job, especially when, in times like these when stand-up comedy or live performances are not happening? What are the challenges that you're facing, and do you think it's a difficult business?
It is a difficult business, but I don't think any job is easy. So just, it's like you are doing your job right now. It's not easy. I actually have been in your shoes, by the way. I used to host a morning show, and Corona hit during that time. So now I get to experience what the guests did when we were interviewing them via Zoom, and it's interesting. It's very disorienting. You can't see anybody, and you don't have any idea what's going on. Anyway, to answer your question, like any job, it's not easy, but obviously, live performance, any sort of live performance, be it stand-up, improv, dance, music, theater, is contingent upon having a live audience available, right? And since that has not been able to happen for the past 1.5 years now, almost, not a half year, but a little over a year now. So obviously we cannot do live shows anymore and can't do them for the foreseeable future. So I don't want to make this depressing.
Paying it off.
Sorry?
Yeah. So do you think that this new trend, this new twist is paying off because we no longer see the stand-up comedies happening? So this review, the comedy review style.
Exactly. So that's what I was getting to. There was obviously, there's one way of looking at things, and that is, oh, ye kya ho gaya? This is awful. I can't do what I want to do. Blah blah blah. Or the other thing, which I believe was a silver lining for me, was that how can I leverage my existing skill onto a different platform? And so I developed this format. I had been tinkering with it over the years, but never really got to it seriously. But during this lockdown, there's literally nothing else to do. So I just thought to myself, what is the most natural extension of stand-up comedy, like my skill set, onto social media, for example, onto YouTube, onto Facebook. And then I determined that I needed to do it in Urdu. I needed to keep it short, and I needed to keep it to stuff that is relevant currently. So that sort of like a shukar worked out for me. And so far, so good.
Right. And Akbar, do you think that the comedy review style is going to, slowly and gradually, or it has slowly and gradually, replaced the stand-up comedy because it is more convenient, and we are hoping for good times? I mean, these COVID restrictions probably are no longer going to be seen in the next few months. But do you think that people are going to come back to stand-up comedy, or they're getting used to this new style because it's more convenient for the viewers and the comedians themselves?
I think, Nausheen, this is to compare apples and oranges, because I do not think this comedy review style will ever replace stand-up comedy, live performance, that is. Because as I'm sure you have experienced yourself, going to watch something in person holds a completely different experience altogether. Even if you watch, let's say, a video of mine, a recorded stand-up comedy act, you will enjoy it, but the person who was there in person, in the flesh, so to speak, that's a completely different experience. So I actually think that once it's safe to reopen the theaters and performance venues, people will throng to these venues. And I think the first 6 months or even a year, actually, we will have sold out shows very easily, because I think I know I am, and I know a lot of my friends and people I know who follow my work, they're just dying to get back to watching live shows. So I do not think comedy reviews will replace stand-up, but they have their own audience. And one distinction I would like to make is that with stand-up comedy or improv, anything, you are restricted to, the capacity of the venue. So, for example, in Karachi, the largest venue could perhaps hold 1,000 people. Okay? I don't know what's it like in Lahore or Islamabad, but I imagine the same. Whereas when you put up something online, it literally goes out to millions of people. So there is this advantage of posting content digitally, you are able to reach out to a much larger audience than with a live show. So that is something I really enjoyed during this time.
Right, right. And Akbar, tell us, how important is the style? I mean, is it the style that wins for the comedians, or is it the content that they work on? Because at times we see comedians coming up with so much energy, but the content is not speaking for that energy. But still, they make it to the top. So what do you think? Is it the style, or is it the content, or is it the both in combination?
It's a bit of both, actually. It's like, if you were to think of it as a percentage. So let's say you have a total of 100%. So ideally, your style is 50 and your content is 50. But let's say your content is 30. And if your style is the remaining 70, so basically what I'm trying to say is, and a lot of comedians say this, it really matters how what you say and how you say it. I'm sure you've heard of this before. What you say and how you say it, and how you say it is also another way of saying that is that how you sell your joke. So for example, if I have a joke, I'm performing live and I have a joke that doesn't really land, and that's fine. But if I really, sell it to the audience, they will eventually laugh. For example, if I do something and it bombs, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm just giving a very very convenient example. अच्छा हाँ ये वाला नहीं करता चलो इस तरह की कोई बात नहीं or just make like a joke at my expense or a self-deprecating remark that will eventually make people laugh. So it's a bit of both, certainly. It's very important what you're saying, but it's certainly a lot more important, I would say, of how you do say it.
Would you describe your journey, and what are the things that you considered mistakes and you wouldn't want the newcomers to make them?
I don't know if I agree with your position, because you do need to make the mistakes of your trade, and certainly everybody needs to make their own mistakes. So there's definitely not anything I would say I consider a mistake. One of the hallmarks of stand-up comedy in particular is that you need to, it's counterintuitive, but the more you fail, the better you get.
Right.
You see, so for example, let me take you through the journey of a single joke, right? You come up with a joke, you go out at an open mic, at a venue or whatever, anywhere with an audience, you go try it. And then based on the response you get, you go back and tweak it, you refine it further, and then take it back to some other different audience, and so on and so forth. It's a very iterative process. So just think of it, if I come up with a joke right now and I tell it to you, Noshni, and you laugh immediately, so then there isn't any learning over here. It's like, acha, theek hai. My confidence rate goes high. Ki haan, mera joke bahut funny hai. And then when I go to perform for somebody who has a very different background from what you do, so obviously they don't get it, they can't relate to it, and then I bomb. So the failure you experience makes you grow as a comedian. So you definitely need to make those mistakes at the beginning and
learn.
Keep on making them. In order to learn and evolve and become better.
Because of your mimicry, it was even loved by the subject himself. I'm talking about Shashi Tharoor and your famous mimicry on him. Do you plan to work on his request that he made later?
How do I answer this diplomatically? No, I do not plan on working on it, but as a lot of people pointed out within that tweet, that if you crop the video in a certain way, the mimicry is available. Or rather, the request is honored.
Right. And were you approached by Shashi Tharoor himself after watching this mimicry?
No, actually, of course not. He's such, famous guy, busy guy. Why would he reach out to me? But
he did.
I've always really enjoyed
express himself, because he liked your work, so he did express openly.
That was extremely humbling for me. I really enjoyed it. I did not expect it, but that he retweeted it was very nice of him. So I've always enjoyed this fancy like Shakespearean English and just complicated words and stuff like that. Just I found so when I was abroad for my master's degree, I had a lot of Indian friends, so they introduced me to him, and then I really started enjoying this guy's speeches and stuff.
Okay, Akbar, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much for having me, Nausheen. I really enjoyed myself, and I look forward to being on your show once again.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was the comedian Akbar Chaudry sharing his thoughts on the new styles of comedy. And that is it from today's episode. We hope you liked it. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and goodbye.